So this is chapter 11, part 2, and here we're going to be dealing with organizational politics and political behavior. So committees, just like teamwork, but only without the work. Okay, sometimes committees are awful to work on, and when you're dealing with people that have different agendas and different motives, you're not really getting things done like you'd like to. Political behavior or organizational politics is a use of power and influence in organizations, and it's often not really officially sanctioned uses of influence. It's just how people work behind the scenes in order to increase their own goals or get what they want to get done. So it has kind of a negative feel or stereotype. You get into a lot of political activity when you have certain conditions. For example, if there are unclear goals from above and you're supposed to be doing this, or there's autocratic decision making from above. So the manager that everybody reports to is really kind of I'm going to tell you what to do at all given times and you're just going to do it. Well, that leads to it. Ambiguous lines of authority, if you don't really know who to report to, or if there's not enough resources, that's what scarce is, there's too few resources, it leads to it. Or if there's uncertainty, those kind of environments tend to lead themselves to more political activity.
Gilbert, find out what the users want before you build it.
Why are you explaining my job to me as if I'm an idiot?
It's called managing. I assume you're dumb because you work harder than I do and earn less money.
Wow. Okay, so, you know, in this kind of organizational environment where you have these bad things with the dictator or the manager who thinks that you're dumb because you earn less money and you work harder, it really is that's a bad place to be. Okay, now, in a political environment, there are a number of different influence tactics that you can use. So, for example, consultation, inspirational appeals, rational persuasion. I'll talk about a few of these. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to either upward influence, that's influence the boss, or influence coworkers or influence employees with any of these type of tactics. And I'll talk about a few of them. So if you're going to influence by consultation, this is the kind of thing where you're trying to seek participation, or you're trying to use participation in order to create some bridges and work together. That's consultation. You're trying to just get to know each other and understand how to flow. Rational persuasion, this is a kind of you're trying to lay out logical arguments in order to make your case. Influenced by inspirational appeals, hey look, I know you can do it. Great. I mean, that's motivating and pumping, but don't think that alone is going to do it. I mean, unless let's go back a couple. Participation, okay? This here, participation is going to be huge, because if you're working with someone and they want to express themselves and be able to show you that they understand things, and to the degree that somebody can do something the way that they want to approach it, they'll be far more motivated than any rational persuasion that you have or inspirational appeal that you might bring to them. Now, managing political behavior. Maintain open communication when you're dealing with political behavior. Clarify expectations. Be very, very clear. Use participative management. Again, what we know about participation in the management literature is that it removes blocks that otherwise would get in the way. If you say, hey, this is my idea, I want you to go make this happen, and here's exactly how to do it. They might go through the checklist and do what you're doing, but they're not going to have their heart in it. Where if they get to help create the plan, they'll be far more motivated to carry it out. It encourage cooperation, manage scarce resources well, and provide a supportive organizational environment or climate. And again, this is what you do as a leader. You provide the climate. It's not that you have all the best ideas, but you create an environment in which they can do these things, that they can work well without being affected by the other things going on around them. Now, sometimes you have to manage up. You have to manage the boss. And here's how you do this. You understand the boss and his or her context. What are the boss's goals and objectives? Your boss is far more interested in that than they are in whatever is going on in your world. Okay, what are the boss's strengths and weaknesses? Well, if you can fill those weaknesses, that's great. So you have to look at your own needs and your own strengths and weaknesses and see how you can, and in your personal style, how you can be an asset to the boss. Don't get in their way. Be an asset rather than a liability. So when you're managing up, what you want to do is develop and maintain a relationship. So here we're talking about task and relationship again, as we talked about in previous chapters. So task and relationship are both important. And what is it in as you develop this relationship where you can, in the task, keep your boss informed, and you can be dependable and somebody that the boss can be relying on to get more and more and more done. As you become reliable, they'll lean on you more and more. Now, what's interesting about this is, and this is Jeffrey Pfeffer, he's a Stanford professor who wrote a book called Power. And he said, as long as you keep your boss happy, performance really does not matter. Now, I don't know that it goes quite that far, that performance doesn't matter. But if you keep your boss happy, if you're doing what he wants you to do, if there's not surprises and he knows that you're dependable, he's going to try to keep you around because that's a pillar of stability within his little world. Okay? So this leads us to empowerment. Empowerment, and how do you do this for your people? Empowerment is sharing power in such a way that individuals learn to believe that in their ability to do their job, right? They believe that they can get it done, that they can do it, that it's within their reach. Now, this means that they have meaning when they come to work. It also means that they have impact, that they can make a difference. It also means that they have control over the way that they do their work. We talked about this earlier. And competence is the belief that one has the ability to do the job well. They have to have all of these things: meaning, competence, impact, self-determination. Now, the self-determination is really, really, really important, right? They have to have the autonomy to be able to do their job instead of you telling them what to do. You know, I have a little rule of thumb that if one of my subordinates, if they can do the job 80% as well as what I think that they should, let them do it. I mean, they won't do it perfectly as far as what's in my head, but they'll do it with all their heart because they've designed how to go about doing it. Okay? And you'll get far better results doing that than trying to dictate to them what to do. Okay? Other guidelines for empowering: express confidence in the employees, set high performance expectations, and do that with them. Don't just from on high say, I expect this. No, work with them, get to know them, develop that relationship, and then set those standards together. Create opportunities for participative, that's what I was just talking about, decision making. Remove bureaucratic constraints. That is, if there are obstacles in the way, what do we know about path goal theory? Your job is to clear the obstacles for them. And then set inspirational and meaningful goals. Okay, so work with them, and then, you know, show them how their work matters and how what they do is important to the organization. Now, shifting gears again, Finkelstein talked about why executives fail. And they tend to fail for certain specific reasons. So the first one is that they see themselves and their companies as dominant without peers. And then they get kind of arrogant and other things happen. Personally, they have all the answers and they don't need anybody's advice. And so they cut themselves off to what they need. They eliminate those who are not 100% behind them. So there's a place for loyalty, but when you have yes men that won't tell them the truth, that will hide the truth from them because they want to look good, then you're cut off from valuable information that you need. They rely on what worked in the past. So, well, this has been good for us. It's always worked for us before, so they keep going back to that will. But sometimes conditions change and what worked in the past won't work in the future. And then finally, there's no clear boundaries between personal interest and corporate interest, and this is really when they sabotage themselves and, and sometimes get into criminal activities or other really unethical kinds of violations. When you're looking at power, you want to think in terms of how you can use it effectively. Always you should be thinking about what is ethical, what is right. Okay, understand and use all the various types of powers, but again, good leaders tend to use referent and expert power rather than relying on their office to say, "Well, I'm the manager. See, it's on the door here. It says that I'm important, so you better obey." Look, if it's a good idea, they want to do it. If you have to force somebody to do something, very often that's a sign that it's not that good of an idea. Okay, seek out jobs that will allow you to develop your power skills so you can grow. Now, you also want to do this with your people. This is very important because the book isn't thinking like I'm trying to communicate. You want to also grow your people. You want to help them develop. As you help develop them, you'll become more powerful. As they grow, they'll push you up higher and higher. Okay? Use power tempered by maturity and self-control, and accept that influencing people is an important part of managing. That's just the nature of it. But not just influencing. You're not just trying to influence followers. You're trying to grow your people into leaders. That's how you should be thinking about this. So I want to leave you with one final thought. Again, this is leadership in the scripture, and it's talking about the church, but I think it's still applicable even if you're in a business organization. Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care. Take care of your people, right? I think that's applicable whether you're in business or whether you're in the church. Watching over them, not because you must, but because you are willing, right? Going out of your way, caring about them, not just because you have to, because you don't necessarily have to, but because you want to, as God wants you to be. Not pursuing dishonest gain, but eager to serve, not lording over those entrusted to you. We heard that language in the other passage that we listened to previously, but being examples to the flock. What did you get out of that? Care, do it because you're willing, don't be dishonest, don't be dictators, and be examples. If you do those kind of things, you're going to really have a much better time of it as far as dealing with the politics in the organization, because people are going to want to follow you because you're the kind of person that they'd want to follow. Okay? Thank you for your time. Talk to you later. Bye.